If you've ever made a cake, this might have happened to you. This cake pan was not properly prepared and the cake is stuck in there. Just try to get it out and it will come out in pieces. Not good. Preparing a cake pan the right way will help ensure that the cake releases easily and intact. So for this demo, I'm going to show you how to prepare a standard round cake pan. And this is the kind that you'd use to make a layer cake. But this method can also be used to prepare square or rectangular pans in the event that you're making a snack or sheet cake. So let's get started. Now, first of all, you're going to need a sheet of parchment paper. Now, parchment is sold in rolls at the supermarket, or you can find sources that will sell it by the sheet. We prefer to use parchment over wax paper as we don't like the idea of melted wax on our cake. So now I'm going to do some tracing. Just go ahead and place the bottom of the pan right on the paper and take a pencil, or you can use a pen here, and just trace right around the outer edge of the cake pan. Now, as the tracing is just slightly larger than the actual pan, as I cut out the circle, I'm going to be careful to cut right inside the line. There we go. Now the resulting circle should fit snugly and perfectly in our pan. Let's test it out. There we go. And it does. All right, so now we're ready to move on. And parchment alone is not enough to prevent the cakes from sticking. We also need to grease the pan. You can use softened butter or vegetable shortening for this job, but vegetable oil spray works really well and it's very convenient. Gets into the corners of the pan and coats evenly. So just be sure to coat the entire pan, just the inside, not the outside, because any little spot that you miss will be a sticking spot for that cake. All right, so now we can go ahead and fit that circle of parchment into the pan. There, right in the bottom. And besides helping with release, the parchment is also going to help prevent any development of a tough outer crust on the cake. Plus, when we eventually turn the cake out of the pan, the paper is going to help hold it together. So this is in there nicely, but we're not quite finished. So we're going to spray that parchment again using the vegetable oil spray. Good coating. And now I'm going to take a few tablespoons of flour and just sprinkle it over the bottom of the pan. All right, so now we just want to shake and tilt the pan. We want to make sure that the flour coats every little bit of surface in there. So go ahead and tap it around. And then we can go ahead and rotate the sides a little bit. I'll try to get this so you can see it, like that. And then I'm going to get all the way up to the lip. Use a bigger bowl here. There we go. Now, there's an excess of flour in there, so I just want to go ahead and tap the pan, and then I can dump it right out into a bowl, or you can do this over the sink. A lot easier. So that is that. Now, the flour prevents the sides of the cake from sticking to the pan, but it also prevents the sides of the cake from rising too quickly and developing a tough, crusty lip. So that's it for most cake pans, and remember that you can use the same technique to prepare your square or rectangular pans. You'll just need to cut the parchment to fit the right shape and size. So now let's move on to cupcakes, and we're going to learn to make cupcakes later on in the recipe tutorial in this lesson. Now, cupcakes are always baked in a muffin tin with a slight difference. With muffins, we just go ahead and add the batter directly to a greased pan. We like that little bit of extra browning that the pan gives the muffins. But with cupcakes, we aren't really trying to develop a browned exterior. Plus, cupcakes tend to have a little bit more sugar in them than muffins, and they will stick to the pan. So with cupcakes, we always use liners. These make the cupcakes much easier to eat out of your hand, and the resulting cake is less crumbly. The liners are so efficient, really, you don't even need to grease the pans first. You just plop them right into the cups. And you can choose to use foil or paper or both. Either option works great. All right, there we go. And finally, let's talk about springform pans. Now, springform pans are essential for making a lot of cheesecake recipes. And many recipes require baking the cake in a water bath, which is a pan filled with warm water. That helps to prevent the cake from overcooking. And if your recipe uses a water bath, you'll want to be sure to tightly wrap the pan with foil, just like this. We've used 2 layers of foil, and we've overlapped them and then crimped them very, very tight. And the foil will prevent the water from leaking into the pan. And you know, we've tested just about every model of springform pan out there, and they all leak even just a little bit. Now, the New York cheesecake that we're going to be making does not require a water bath, so we don't need to wrap the pan in foil at all. Let's just get rid of this. But you do want to make sure that the pan is securely latched, nice and tight. And always place the pan on a rimmed baking sheet just like this. This is going to help to catch any drips in the oven, just in case the pan leaks. So that's the rundown on basic cake pan preparation. Repeat these steps and your cakes will release from the pan every time.